Hey, what's up, y'all? This is another permaculture Q&A. Now remember, before we get into this video, there's a Homestead meetup this Saturday, May 4th. I would love to see you guys there. It's going to be at Grumpy's Garden Club. All the details are down below. It's going to be from 10 a.m. to noon. Now, I don't necessarily have a time limit on hanging out that day, so if it lasts a little bit longer to me, it lasts a little bit longer. But anyways, this is permaculture Q&A. If you have any permaculture related questions, something just jumped into the swale. If you have any permaculture related questions, then leave them down below in the comment section, and hopefully they'll be featured in a future video. Let's get started. First question from Christopher Chubb. Permaculture Q&A for us suburban homesteaders. He said homesteaders, but we know he means homesteaders. We call 811 and the buried gas and water lines get marked. How far away from the gas and sewer lines do we need to keep our trees and understory plants? Well, okay, so these trees right here that you see behind me that are providing me some pretty nice shade right now, what you see above can easily be 3 times as much down below. So you need to keep that in mind whenever you're burying this anywhere near a source of water. Now, I would say roughly 10 feet from either side of the sewer line, depending on what kind of tree you're planting. If it's willow, then I would plant it a little bit further. If it's like an oak or something like that, it's gonna grow a little bit slower and you should be fine. Now, as far as your gas lines, I don't think there's any limit as far as that goes. If they ever need to service the gas line, then keep that in mind. You don't want the roots to get around the gas line and make it difficult to service in the future. So I would say 10 to 15 feet from either side of the sewer lines. You can grow understory plants on top of your sewer lines without any risk of contamination. But just remember, you need to increase the filter, the straw, the trunk, I should say, of the plant that you're growing to filter out as many contaminating, substances that might be coming from that sewer line. If it's like a septic lateral lines, then you need to worry about them clogging the pipes. If it's the sewer line for the city, then I would just stay 10 to 15 feet away, just in case they ever need to service it. Anything you planted there is just going to get dug up and destroyed anyway. So, and if you can't help it, then do maybe raised beds above the sewer lines. Try to go that route. Now, this next question is from Colleen Bowman. Is a Chapa Pond around your swales the best way to go? Sorry if this is a dumb question, but we are working on building our food forest starting in the spring and want the best outcome. So swales and ponds, neither one of them are absolutely necessary to build a food forest, but they are water harvesting features that you can add to a food forest or that can supply a food forest. They don't even need to be next to each other. Keep that in mind. Like, a food forest is not dependent upon any particular earthworks. It's just more or less a tree planting pattern that you use that's going to be self-sufficient and self-replicating in a matter of a couple of years of management, unlike an orchard, which is going to need management its entire existence. What's cool about having a Chapa Pond is that it can catch the runoff from any of the swales that you might have, like this swale right here. There's a larger covered up swale right now. I haven't fully recovered that part yet. That's going to need to get some serious weed whacking or some sort of destruction done to that. But that overflow feeds into the pond, which is down here. So you can see right here, there's a finger that comes in and then goes back out and then comes back in and goes back out. What that does is increases edge on this pond. So if I have a perfect circle, that's the least amount of edge that I need for the amount of volume that's within that circle. If I increase the edge, I increase the amount of space that this medium, water, interacts with this medium, land. Anytime two media interact with each other, you have a burst of energy. You have a burst of potential growth. So that's one of the benefits of planting this pond. So let's say say you're planting something by the pond and it's like blueberries or whatever. And let's say the spacing on the blueberry needs to be 6 feet. Well, I can go one right there, one right here. That's about 6 feet away. Instead of going full 6 feet that way, I can just follow the edge of the pond and measure off another 6 feet. So I'm actually getting 6 feet. Because of this water is acting as somewhat of a barrier, I'm able to get more of an edge, more production in the same amount of space as if this was just a perfectly circular pond. Hopefully that didn't go too far into the weeds. Hopefully that made sense. But just think of it this way. Anytime I increase the edge, I have the vast potential for energy or growth. Think of the fence line, like the fence line over there. There's a ton of leaves piled up against that fence line. Why? Because it's an edge between two different properties. Also the trees, that's an edge. That's creating an edge effect. So keep those in mind. That's the benefit of a Chapa swale, is you're increasing the edge and gives you ability to potentially harvest from the water, which is easier to move around heavier weights. Think of barges and stuff. Hopefully that was helpful. This question is from Hands to Hearts, Seeds to Feed, AMU 83. What is most likely killing my large black locust trees? So there are any number of things that it could be actually killing your black locust tree, but it all boils down to one answer. And there's a reason I picked this question to answer this, is that it always boils down to the soil. If you have a pest problem, it's because you don't have a standing army of bacteria and fungi that's not allowing that pest the larvae to actually hatch. If you have a disease problem, it's because you don't have the bacteria and fungi in your soil, or bacteria and fungi covering the surface area of the plant. If you have any of these other issues, it's because there's an issue with the soil. If you have acid rain falling from the sky, it's because it's damaging the soil and in return killing your black locust trees. Now, another thing that could be happening is, depending on the age of your soil, it could be going through a transition. It could be going from that new growth phase, which black locusts are like thriving in, to more of that medium to older growth phase, which you're going to have some more of your harder woods, some more of your longer lasting overstory trees growing. So it all depends, just saying. And even that is an indicator of your soil changing. So literally everything that could be going on your homestead, whether good or bad, is a result of your soil. This next one is from Jensen Family Homestead. I have 12 acres of mostly forested land fenced with 4 strands of barbed wire on 3 sides and 5 strands on 1 side. How would I best keep sheep in? Also, as a side note, I have 2 horses that occupy that 12 acres. These horses respect barbed wire, but are basically immune to electric fence. They walk right through it as though it wasn't there. Haven't tried electric netting. Okay. So the first question, you have 4 strands, 5 strands, something like that, of barbed wire along the outside. If the 5 strands of barbed wire isn't keeping in your sheep, which the young ones it probably won't keep in, I would go ahead and line it with this woven wire field fence around the outside. That works pretty doggone well. Also, that only takes care of your perimeter. So what I would do is add a top strand of, it could be steel, it could be aluminum, whatever wire you want to do, and it'll energize that. That way you can always latch onto it, tether onto it with mobile netting wherever you are on your property, because you have electricity around the entire edge and around the entire perimeter of your property. So I would do that. Also, the reason your horses might not be respecting the electric fence is that it might not be hot enough. It might not have enough voltage going through that. So you might want to double check that. Also, you might not have enough strands. So if they're able to fit their head all the way through the electric fence, let's say you're using poly wire, and they're able to fit their head between these gaps, then they have the confidence that they can just walk right through if they do get shocked. So the key is to keep their head on that side of the fence, if that's the side you want to keep them on. And make them interact with the fence before they can actually get their head through. Now, some horses do turn their head sideways and then get their head through, and then they get the confidence. So maybe a netting is going to be a better option. Maybe just adding a few more strands is going to be a better option. So hopefully that helps. From Rachel Brown 5484, I have mushroom houses all around me and you can buy it fresh from there. Have you rated those? I'm assuming you mean the mushroom compost. Yeah, it's going to be super fresh. The issue is that as soon as you put those mushroom spores or those fungi spores and filaments into unfavorable conditions, they're going to start dying back. You need the complete soil food web, coined by Dr. Elaine Ingham. You need the complete soil food web, not just one component of it. And if they're charging quite a bit for not the complete soil food web, then I would either buy it on very, very small scale and just use it as an additive to my compost after it's gone through its thermophilic phase, or I would try to figure out a way to probably get it dropped off for free, or a way I can get their spent mushroom blocks, the individual blocks, and add those to my compost pile. So that's my thought on it. Yeah, it's just not, like I said before, it's just not worth what they're charging. This next one is from Joyce Brown. After sifting charcoal out of the wood stove ashes, what can I use these for? You can use them I like to use it. You can activate it and turn it into biochar if you wanted to, but I like to use it as pig and chicken mineral. So I feed it directly to my pigs, I feed it directly to the chickens, and they use it as a mineral source. The pigs absolutely love it. I put it in a black pan, fill it up with water, and they love drinking that water over any other source of water that they have access to. But that's what I like to do with the charcoal, especially if it's coming out of a wood burning stove. Now this one is from Jeremy Taylor 9607. What would you recommend planting along a large drainage ditch, 20 feet wide, 10 feet deep? It is only maybe a foot or two deep of water most of the time, but fills up quickly with rain. I'm not sure if I should put edible food along the edge of it, but I know I need to have something there for erosion control, so I will most likely just do native wildflowers if edible isn't recommended. You can totally go with edible. Now, I would be careful planting in anything that's gonna very, very quickly turn from 2 feet to 10 feet deep, because there's a large chance that whatever you planted there, if it doesn't have roots established, it's probably just going to get washed on downstream. But what you can do is put things, you can plant things in the way of where the water is coming in. Now right here, this is the intake area of the pond. Just on the other side of that brush is actually the pond, and it's collecting all the water coming off this field right here. You can see kind of the dip right here, and it just flows directly onto this property. These plants here are very, very invasive native species to Texas. I don't know specifically what all of them are, but they're in the way and they're slowing down the water and they're filtering it as it goes in. So there, maybe you could plant, maybe you could get some like ramps or cattails or something like that, which cattails are edible, so are ramps. Maybe you could get something like that planted at the intake part of that little drainage area. Around the outside perimeters and stuff, you can maybe do water chestnuts, you could do spinach. There's a lot of varieties of annuals that do well in wet areas. Just check those out. You could also do like chinkapin oaks, or you could do elderberries. It all depends. You have a bunch of opportunities around the outside of that drainage ditch. Just like I said, be careful of anything that's going to go from 2 feet to 10 feet very, very quickly. And if you are planting something there, make sure you're planting it in like the drier season, so that way, preferably winter, so that way roots can get established in that area and get it ready for that rapid water change. So hopefully that was helpful. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys have any permaculture Q&As, just leave them linked down below. Can't wait to see you guys this Saturday. And if you need any consultations, then hit the links down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. And until next time, I'll see you.